Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Today's video is regarding comments made underneath my last video. It seems like every video that I make in the Idaho 4 case, if I don't make it from the angle of being a conspiracy theory nut job, I get hate from all around and comments made by people. And when you read the comments, it shows a complete lack of understanding spatially and even awareness just of the case at all. So I thought what we could do today is go over some of the comments and then actually, put out the factual information. Now, I am one of the people that believe that if there is DNA, blood DNA of some other sort, maybe on the glove that was outside and on the handrail, etc., they should test it and see what it means. Does it make sense? Brian Kohberger could help himself if he just would tell us if there was somebody else with him, because Brian Kohberger was there. Okay, his DNA was on the knife sheath in Madison's bedroom on the bed on her right side, and we already know that. All right, so let's get started right now. Here's the really long comment by somebody. It's one of those passive-aggressive type comments. Not a bad little presentation you did there. I just have some questions about some very key parts that you seem to conveniently leave out of your story. I will just give you a couple of examples because I can go on and on about this stuff. 1. What about the unknown male blood that was left on the handrail inside the house? That doesn't match BK whatsoever. Not to mention the glove that was found in the front yard, blood inside of it as well, that was also identified male, that was different than the blood on the handrail. Okay, so you're saying that inside the glove it has different blood type than Brian Kohberger, and it's different blood type than the handrail blood. All right, so I'm not against figuring out what the blood, who it comes from, etc. Okay, it doesn't help Kohberger, though. It doesn't exculpate him. It doesn't do anything. Because Kohberger was there, his DNA was left on the knife sheath that was left at the crime scene inside of a 12-minute window while a white Elantra was driving around, and one that was in the area missing its front license plate as described on the A&W surveillance camera. Okay, it was missing its front license plate. And no other mention of the license plate was mentioned in the probable cause document, other than, they mentioned how people from Pennsylvania aren't required to have a front license plate, etc. And apparently when he was pulled over by an officer that isn't in one of the release videos that's out there, it shows that it's missing a front license plate. We just haven't seen that video in the public. And so that wasn't even on the probable cause document, but there it is. The vehicle that Kohberger drove was missing a front license plate. They already established that a vehicle missing a front license plate was driving by the A&W at 328. And the A&W is right here on Steiner Avenue. I guess it becomes Lauder Avenue right here, and then it goes on to Taylor Avenue. So maybe right here it's actually Lauder Avenue, so it's Steiner, then Lauder. And here's the NW. There's a camera right here on the building, and they were able to determine that it was missing a front license plate. And there's a video camera right here that picks up the vehicle at some point during the night that Ann Taylor even admits shows that it 100% is Brian Kohberger's vehicle. So you're right in this area. Now my loop that I always had was this right here. Okay, that he would leave, exit, and come around. There was one time where he left for quite a bit longer, where there's an Elantra on camera right over here at 345 driving this direction, and that sort of, it fits in perfectly. It takes about that amount of time to get there after leaving on one of his loops, and also he's away from the area, and that's why there's a long time period between loop 2 and 3. And maybe he was just trying to kill more time because the light just kept staying on and on in Madison's room. All right, so let's get back to this. There were also 2 male profiles that did not match BK, but they were able to tell that they were male. How could the killer come face to face with Dylan after leaving Xana's room? Because if he was walking to the kitchen to go out the sliding door, he would not have to go anywhere near Dylan Mortensen's door. So this right here shows that this person is not aware of the layout of the building whatsoever. Okay, and to respond to the 2 DNA samples, how do we know that they're not actually referring to the handrail DNA and the DNA that was on the glove? You know, they do mention that there was 2 DNA samples that were male, also in the house, but I mean, it's a party house, you guys. What they did was they tested a significant item related to the crime, and that's the knife sheath, and that is how they came up with Brian Koberger. So let's show the house. This is the front door again. I've gone over this 1,000 times. So right when you go through the front door of the house, and just to give you some context here, that's the whole house right there. I didn't put the ground underneath the building, etc. But here he is. There's a person entering the home right here. And that's the front door. Now to the right there is the storage facility, bathroom, laundry room. This is Bethany Funk's room. So that window looks right out to the front parking lot. And then we're just going back. Now we're going, that's the front door right there that exits, that we just came in. And these are stairs that go up right inside that door. And then when you get to the top of the stairs, that's the living room. Now this is Xana's room right here. And then if you leave Xana's room, you walk like this, and Dylan Mortensen's room is right here. And see how I have that little crack in the door? That's probably how it was when she was looking out and saw him in the darkness. All right, now in this case I have him go in. This is just a walk-through video. All right, and then there's the kitchen right there, right? So let's just back it up a little bit. So right here you take a step down, and to the right is the kitchen. That's Dylan Mortensen's room on the left. So when she saw him coming and turning, she saw the bushy eyebrows, etc., and then he turned to the right and went out. And you'll see that if I go inside the room, then look back out, there's the kitchen, and the sliding glass door is just off to the left there. Okay, these are the stairs that go up to Kaylee's and Madison's room. All right, so you absolutely have that incorrect, so then it makes you wonder about all the rest of the information that you put in there. Her bedroom door was at the bottom of the stairs, so he would have to have walked back to the base of the stairs in order to come face to face with Dylan on his way out in order for her to get a good look at his eyebrows. I mean, it's just totally false. I just showed you. You mentioned that on his last pass, how he was driving a little faster. He would have parked right around 408-ish. I think you said right. And then he would have to get his plastic bags out and his change of clothes, the knife basically get prepared. So I'm sure you would agree that would take at least 2 minutes, minimum. Right. How did he know the sliding glass door was going to be unlocked? I don't know. Maybe it was normally unlocked in that house, and he had checked it on another occasion. We don't know the answer to that. Was he just winging it? He was definitely stalking, driving around, waiting for the light to turn off, I believe, in Madison's room, because he kept doing the loop, driving around, and then even by Dylan's words, they were all asleep by 4. That's when he finally made his move. Also, your claim that he has been in the area many times before scoping out the house, that has been approved false, and admitted by the prosecution that he never actually drove in the area of 1122 King Road. I haven't seen anywhere out there where it says on those other 12 or 13 trips to Moscow where they knew if they could tell that he even drove by the house. It was just ping information. You know, there aren't a lot of cell towers in that area. So I think a lot of times people are conflating. On the 14th, they said that the vehicle never made it to Moscow, Idaho. But let's go back to the time frame where it said, you know, there's like 7 or 8 minutes. So 408-ish, I think you said right then, he would have to get his plastic bags out and his change of clothes. I've accounted for all of that. One last thing, there's no way in the world that you can sit there with a straight face and tell me that you can definitely look at that car that is making those passes and tell me that it's a Hyundai Elantra. And if you try to tell me otherwise, then you are full of crap, because nobody, and I mean nobody, can tell what kind of car that is in those conditions by that camera angle. So unless you see a video that we haven't, that car could be one of thousands of cars. It's so grainy. And if he started walking down the hill to the backyard and finally got into the sliding glass door, let's say 411, you're telling me he pulled all this off in under 7 minutes by himself? Yeah, I am saying that. I've actually made a video on that in the past. So here we are at 4:05 and 21 seconds. Here is the white Elantra right here, driving. And I'm going to turn down the audio, and I'll just do my own speaking. And here it is, driving down Queen Road, and it's 4:05. And then I even pick it up on the camera that's right over here. So here it comes around, and this is the time where the vehicle actually stops back here and turns around. All right, so now it's 4:05 and 42 seconds. I know it's hard to watch, everybody. I know you pro burgers out there, this is really difficult for you. It makes too much sense. It makes a hell of a lot more sense than a clown and a guy from the UK spewing bull crap to you guys on a daily basis. But here we go. So here it comes, it turns, and now it's going down in front of 500 Queen Road. See, there it is. I've shown you this on video, exactly where this is. In fact, I'll just show it to you again right now. Let me move this all the way over to this area. All right, and here it is. So this is what it looks like from the car's perspective. It drives back here. All right, so if you aren't familiar, this is what it looks like behind 500 Queen Road. That is number 52, that building right over there. Right there. And we'll just speed it up a little bit, go a little bit further. All right, right there. And now it comes around the corner, and look how steep that is. And what the Elantra was doing was driving up that little road there. Now, where it just turned around is right here, and the camera is right up underneath there. It's actually right above that door right back there. And I know that because a psycho actually jumped out of the door and tried to grab my phone. Yeah, it was good stuff. It was on a live stream. Of course, everybody thinks I should have like got a gun out or something, and I mean, it's just unbelievable. Anyways, so now we're up on the south side of 500 Queen Road, and this is where the vehicle would have driven after it came around each time. Now, on the pass that we're watching on this video right here, it's coming around. It's actually, this time it turned around just like I showed you. It turned around right there, and it's going back this direction. So right in this area, it tries to stop or park or turn around. Maybe it was right here, and I'm wondering if they can tell that by lights that were on the building over here, on the trees, etc., and then even from the audio that came from 1112 King Road. So it's right here, and then it's like, it took a while. It's trying to turn around, stop, or park. Don't really know how fast the car was driving. But eventually it starts moving again. And right now it's 4:06 and 53 seconds. And it's trying to stop, turn around, park right there, and it just wasn't able to do it, maybe because of the ice or whatever. I mean, it wasn't really icy, but it was slick, So right here he does a 3-point turn. It's mentioned in the probable cause document. That means the 1112 King Road camera picks it up doing that. Then it drives back here, and then it's picked up again by the camera on that building. And here it is. There it is. It's coming back around. I'm timing it up just for you to see how it's working. And that was going around in that little narrow area, just like I showed you a minute ago on that 360-degree camera. And right now it's 4:07:42 seconds, and you can see there's the vehicle right there. And then I have the vehicle parked right around 4:08. Okay? Now in this area, he gets out of the vehicle and starts doing, blood spatter mitigation prep, getting plastic bags, etc. And you can see the clock's ticking away. I've already accounted for all of this. And this is how I think it actually went down. I think he pulled up right there. He maybe stopped for a minute, made sure nobody was moving. Then he started doing his blood spatter mitigation. And I have the car parked right there. I mean, some of the animation I do down here isn't the greatest. And you'll see here in a minute where he actually gets out of the car. It's just a red dot, though. And I think the car sort of moves somehow in an edit that I did. I'm not really certain, but the Brian Kohberger is represented by a red dot. So right now it's 4:08 and 47 seconds. There's some good comments in the comment section. Maybe he wore like some sort of dark coverall thing that he could just take completely off that covered his entire body. He had a face mask on. I don't know if he had anything on his head, but he might have had himself nice and covered up, and maybe he killed people in a way where it mitigated also the, like arterial spray, etc. Like if they're facing away from him and he got them from behind. You can't really control how much blood would get on the knife after stabbing people and the cast off from that. However, you can mitigate how much of it actually gets on yourself during the commission of the crime. And look at right now, it's 4:09 and 40 seconds. So, like this commenter made, right around 4:10-ish, I have it 4:09 and 48 seconds. Goes down, and there is the sliding glass door. Now, I used a previous animation, so I don't have Madison and Kaylee in the correct room, position in the room, right? So here we go. We're going up the stairs, 4:10, and maybe this is a time when, this is if Madison and Kaylee were first, okay? And it goes up here, and maybe that's when they thought they heard a dog. Dylan Mortensen thought she heard a dog. Now, this is just you using your imagination of what's going on in that room. Look how much time this is. All right. Now the total elapsed time right now is 38 seconds. Right now it's 4:10 a.m. and 39 seconds. So look how long the clock is ticking. He's in that room. He's already begun stabbing. Maybe it was Madison first, and then perhaps Kaylee second, because she tried to, fight back against him. And maybe she really tried to fight, and that's why she has so many more wounds. I think Kaylee didn't seem as intoxicated as Madison. Madison seems like a lighter, thinner person, so if she'd been drinking the same amount of alcohol, it probably affected her more. You could see her in the video at Grub Truck. Madison, seemed to be swaying around and sort of, slurring a little bit, and Kaylee seemed to be a little bit more under control. So I think Madison was probably a lot easier for Kohberger to kill, and Kaylee was more difficult, and that's why it was a much bigger struggle. But look how long this has already been, you guys. You see what I'm saying? The killing would already be over by this time in that room. This is a long time. And we just keep waiting. Right now we're at a lapse time of 2 minutes and 4 seconds. And it's 4:12 a.m. And as you can see, this is just a tremendous amount of time. So there's a lot of people out there that go, how could one person do that in that short amount of time? Well, when you have all the individuals that were killed had been drinking that night and were intoxicated, and it was very late. So likely they're very tired, and they were absolutely shocked at what was going on, and it was like they were just, somebody typed the word blitzkrieg. All right, now look at that. Don't you think that that is totally reasonable amount of time that they could have all been killed? Now we know that Kaylee was actually up in the corner, hunched over, like I have in my more recent models. And then down the stairs, and let's say, oh, there was Ethan right there, right? And then he comes around the corner, and there's Ethan right there trying to keep him out of the room, maybe. Now look at it. It's 4:12 and 55 seconds. Isn't that amazing? Because at 4:12 is when Kaylee stopped using, I think it was TikTok. Might have been Snapchat. Maybe, I think it was TikTok, though. Don't remember. Anyways, 4:13 and 11 seconds, 12 seconds. And it's only been 3 minutes and 21 seconds. But right now, just look at, this is the time I'm allotting to killing Ethan Chapin. You know, it's just, it goes on and on. I think he would already be done. I mean, this is just a lot of time. I could easily say, to see the killing of Ethan already being done, and now he's going to work his way into Xana's room. All right, but just look at this. Look how much time this is. And yeah, it's, you know, it's a lot of exertion physically for Kohberger, but at the same time, it's a lot of time. So he was in pretty good shape. He has a huge knife, and there isn't very much fighting back from these people because a lot of them were in bed and sleeping and intoxicated. So this is all the time that I am allotting to Ethan Chapin. And look how much time this is. We're now at 4 minutes and 24 seconds, 25 seconds, 26, 27. And it's 4:14 and 25 seconds. And then after this, I have him go into the room. Sorry about that beeping sound. I have him go into the room, and there is Xana. And then I have more time elapse. I mean, this is just an excruciating long amount of time, and I think everybody, if you really kind of picture it like this, you'll realize how he easily could have done this. All right, and then he goes into the room after killing Ethan, and there's Xana in the room, and then he kills her. And it's 4:15. You know, let's say that there was, you know, whimpering sounds. You know, that's the thing I guess we still have to try to figure out is when, I think after this, if in this scenario where Ethan and Xana are second, then he thinks he killed both of them, and then he looks for his knife sheath upstairs, and he can't find it. Or he's just looking around the house for it, and he can't find it. He looks on the ground. He just didn't realize it was right there on the bed. He didn't turn the light on in the room of Madison. So then he goes back down the stairs, and he realizes that Xana's still alive because she is whimpering, and he says, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." And then maybe she's even sort of struggling and standing up trying to get out, and then he stabs her a few more times, and then she falls to the ground, creating that thud, and that would be right around 4:17. So I'm adding all this time in there just to have killed Xana. See that? Look how much time this is. Do you think they would take that long at all with a big knife like that and people are intoxicated? So it's 4:16, 21. It's been only 6 minutes and 30 seconds currently. And I'm just going to let it keep playing. You'll see. 4:16 and 42 seconds. Now pretty soon here, there it is. It goes up in the upper right hand corner. 4:17. And, you know, maybe he ran upstairs really quick to look for the knife. Who knows? But look right there. There's Dylan looking through the door. Then he turns, but there's no lights on or anything like this. And then he goes out the sliding glass door. And now it's 4:17 and 4 seconds. Then we go back down to the scene here. And I stopped it at 4:17. And now it's 13, 14, 15. And I think I have the blue, or I think it's red dots, excuse me. The red dots coming up, you know, missing a few seconds there. But he goes up the hill and then back to the car. And then for a couple minutes here, does the blood spatter mitigation that he had set up already. So right here starts changing clothes, getting rid of the items, and maybe it was a minute later that he got up there. A minute and a half is still a long time to do a lot of that stuff, especially if he had something he could just take off, like a a jumpsuit of some sort. But you can see right there it's 4:17 and 53 seconds. I think this video is really good at showing how much time there really is. All right, so I'm just going to move it forward. All right, 4:19, and then let's just go 4:19 and 55 seconds. And then he gets in the vehicle. Now we have it speeding away at a high rate of speed around 4:20, and there he goes. Now this time he actually leaves on Walanta Drive and heads out. And then 28 minutes later, he turns his phone back on near Blaine, Idaho. All right, now there are 16 minutes of missing time before that ping in Blaine. So what was he doing during that time? All right. So also another question is, when people say you can't tell it's an Elantra, well, I don't need to myself. Law enforcement has already told us it's suspect vehicle 1, and that's a white Elantra. Now here's a video I made a while ago that shows an overlay of the Elantra over the vehicle that's in the video when it stops. And you can tell the windows are exactly the same. Now there's a lot of people out there, how do you know it's an Elantra? Well, I'm just going by law enforcement said suspect vehicle 1 is an Elantra. And I believe they were able to prove that it's an Elantra by identifying it at the A&W, also on that location that Ann Taylor admits, and the timing. So look at, there's the vehicle, pulls up, looks like a white vehicle, and it stops right there. And then here is a 2015 Elantra. And then I'm going to have it slide up. Let me move it, here it goes. It's going to move up into that position. And the camera angle is a little different, etc. So it might be where you'd be able to slide the car back to the left a little bit, but look, it goes right in there, and look, I faded in and out. The window shape is exactly the same, and it really looks like a good match. That's all I can do as somebody in the public, and also knowing that law enforcement has already identified the vehicle as a white Elantra. All right, so that answers that person's questions. They asked a whole bunch of them. I'm all for them testing the glove and the railing, but what they did was they tested a significant item at the crime scene that was left by the killer, the knife sheath. And Brian Kohberger's DNA was on that knife sheath. And here's another question by somebody. How does Kohberger stab 4 people, one of whom was stabbed 54 times without hurting himself? Keep in mind, Xana was fighting with the attacker by grabbing the knife. Kohberger has no blood in the house. It doesn't jive to me that he is the killer. Well, where are the injuries from the actual killer then? I mean, so this is a kind of question that we hear all the time. Like in the Delphi case, there's no DNA left at the crime scene. And they said, how did Richard Allen not leave DNA at the crime scene? And yet all the people who say that believe that there was a pack of wild Odinists out there that committed the crime, but they never asked themselves, how did none of those Odinists leave DNA at the crime scene? Well, here's an example right here. Well, whoever did the killing didn't leave their blood at the crime scene, so wasn't injured. That's just the way it is. Sometimes if you have the particular glove he might have been wearing that was doesn't lose grip, a lot of times when there's multiple stabbings, blood gets on the knife and then the hand slips down the knife, cutting the finger of the assailant or the palm, something like that. But in this case, he might have had gloves on that kept it from doing that. Plus, the knife also has a guard on it, so even if you were stabbing downward with it, your hand would stop before reaching the blade. Okay, so and Kohberger, by the way, was a criminology student. So doesn't it seem like he would be more likely not to have an issue with something like that? He would know what to do to not leave trace evidence at the scene. He just blew it on the knife sheath. I think the knife sheath was a calling card and that he cleaned it down. He just missed a spot on a snap. He blew it. Because without that knife sheath, whew, wow, this would be a tough case. All right, so moving on to the next question. It says, I'm sorry, but I can't see, and even zooming are the headlights. Even when the car comes back from fence it, came just light and a car, but just because it's a white car doesn't mean it's Koberger's. Even if it's an Elantra, it doesn't mean it's him. Okay, the thing is because the knife sheath had the DNA on it, and the Elantra driving around was missing its front license plate, the one that drove by the A&W, the other one that Ann Taylor admitted to. So Ann Taylor, just going on the map here, admits that this camera right here showed that it's his white Elantra, and obviously it's during the 4:30 to 4:20 time window. Okay, now earlier a white Elantra drove by here, at least suspect vehicle number 1, and it was missing its front license plate heading in this direction. Then at 4:29 and 49 seconds, a camera right down here filmed that same vehicle driving this direction. Now you'd say, how do you know it's the same vehicle? Well, it's the timing of it. Okay, it's driving like this. Then that same vehicle, given the timing, it's exact, comes around and starts its first loop back here. Okay, and then it does that 3 times, likely exiting and driving around this direction, like this, coming back, etc. And so we know that. It's just it's startling how people you got to use circumstantial evidence in a chain, and that's what this is. Ann Taylor's trying to make a big deal out of it not being the correct white Elantra because they identified it in one, but you can't tell what the other cars are, so it's not his. But if you're using timing and the direction the car was going, and is the vehicle consistent with, and how many other vehicles were even driving around at that time, it's just common sense and logic. And especially when Brian Koberger's DNA was on that knife sheath. I think that's always the thing that's going to haunt Brian Koberger and all of his fans out there. It's wild. All right, let's see. Here's another one. Where was Ethan's body found, inside or outside of Xana's bedroom? If Ethan was found inside the bedroom, this would explain why Dylan Mortensen and or Bethany Funk and friends, when they called 911, reported someone unconscious and they couldn't wake him. If Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen and friends that came over to help could see the victim laying about, it would be much harder to explain why they described them as unconscious rather than a bloody mess and most likely dead. Yeah, I see what you're saying there, but we don't know how people respond in different situations and what they say. And here's what it says in the probable cause document. On November 13th at approximately 4 p.m., Moscow Police Department, Brett Payne and I responded to King Road. OFC Smith and I entered the King Road residence through the bottom floor door on the north side of the building. OFC Smith and I then walked upstairs to the second floor. OFC Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned through Xana's driver's license and other personal belongings found in the room was Xana Kernodle's, hereafter Kernodle's room, or Kernodle. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body, later identified as Kernodle, laying on the floor. Now, that's Kernodle that you could see walking down the hallway, not Ethan Chapin. So we had heard early on that they could see Ethan Chapin, but it was apparently Kernodle that you could see. Kernodle was deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Also in the room was a male, later identified as Ethan Chapin. So you couldn't see Ethan Chapin from the hallway, but you could see Xana in there. So, some of the stories that we heard out there, are they accurate? It doesn't seem to make sense that they saw Ethan in the hallway and he seemed to be unconscious, where in this case it sounds like he's in the room, but maybe the officer accidentally reversed who was where. you know, maybe Ethan Chapin was the one that law enforcement could see right away, and Kernodle was the one in the room, and that was just an error, and they sort of flipped it. I do not know. All right, so those are questions that people had. I think there's one more. It says he most likely used a contractor bag. They are huge, and you can basically step into it, which he probably did, to change the bloody clothes. Thank you, Gray. Great job. Hey, at least I had somebody compliment me on something. All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. You know, answering some questions out there. I do think that they should probably test the blood, you know, do genealogy on the blood that's on the inside of the glove, apparently, and test the blood that was on the railing. But you got to just realize that at that house, there's been so many parties and people are drunk, and there's probably many times where somebody got a bloody finger of some sort and got on it on a rail, and it just sits there. Nobody cleaned it up for a long time, and that could just be old blood. All right. The key is that they tested for DNA on the one item they know for sure was left by the killer, the knife sheath. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching. Hope you appreciate the video and maybe got something out of it. If you could comment in the comment section, that would be great. And if you could hit that like button for me, I would really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.